to part 2 of BBI, Referendum or Not. Once again, you're here at 254 Youth Policy Cafe. Please subscribe. Our LinkedIn handle is 254 Youth Policy Cafe. Twitter, 254 YPC. Please subscribe and, let's talk policy. So straight into the meat of it without even beating around the bush. Referendum or not is the question that everyone is asking. And in addition, we're in a situation where with COVID-19, I read a report the other day and they were talking about poverty levels being almost at 50% at the moment. That's 1 in every 2 people is living below the poverty line, which is, crazy. So we have that. We have COVID-19. Obviously, we are seeing doctors on strike in terms of context. We're seeing doctors dying, our hospitals understaffed. And even those that are staffed, we don't have adequate PPEs. There are so many issues right now in terms of jobs, and I think this is a very sensitive issue for young people, and something that everyone is passionate about in terms of jobs. The KNBS report reported a significant decrease in terms of the number of hours worked by different people in the population. So I think the question that everyone is asking, and it's almost being used as an excuse not to read BBI or engage in the conversation, is ask guys, shida zetu ni mingi. You know, shida zetu ni mingi, msituongeze BBI, by the way. But the point is, we've kept saying we need to have this conversation regardless. And so referendum or not. And just to put it into context as well, I think we mentioned last time, BBI is broken into 3 parts. So we have the constitutional reforms, we have the legislative reforms, and we have the institutional reforms. So I think as many words as you want to actually say it in, referendum or not. Stella.
So I will not really respond and say yes referendum, no referendum. Because how I perceive BBI and what is currently happening in the country is BBI is like when I'm young and my parents want to construct a house. It's a long-term initiative. It's a long-term project. But then we have other issues. A lot of people lost jobs because of COVID-19. The economy is actually declining. People have lost jobs, people have lost income. And even when you look at now health sector, we are in a situation where we don't have adequate resources in the health sector. And it is very, very valid. But I look at that as food. Before we build our houses, we need food. But it doesn't mean because we have to settle on just searching for food, we cannot put resources to house construction. We need the two at the same time. The government cannot have an excuse that we are not responding to health issues because of BBI. That is not an excuse that we cannot afford. And health is one of the biggest, because if our medics are not protected, then our health system will collapse, and then that means we'll not have people to actually vote for BBI or not, because we'll be in hospitals and people will have died and all that. But that said and done, I think the conversation where we need to go is what issues require voting and what issues don't require voting. What issues can our MPs, we are paying them every day, they're in parliament, we are paying them. Then there is work that we have employed them to do work in parliament. So those issues that they can just go and discuss in parliament, let them go and discuss in parliament, and they are not used as it's like you've been given this so that you vote for BBI. While in essence, this is something that doesn't require voting. So the conversation is separating the issues that require voting, and these are mostly the constitutional reforms that are proposed, are the issues that we require to go to vote. But then we have legislative reforms, we have institutional reforms that we don't require to go and vote. But even the issues that we require to go and vote, we have to have a sober conversation. Are they rightful enough? Are they the most appropriate solutions that we can create for this country? Can we sit back and ask ourselves, what better can we give Kenyans besides what we're proposing in this report? So that's my stand. I would say I'm issue-based in terms of BBI. I would vote for particular issues, yes. I would vote for particular issues, no.
I think that's actually like, yeah. I think you've
So in
captured.
short, Stella, you're suggesting that we have the multiple questions
Yes.
for this one. But you see, politicians, we say that politics and the economics, they move hand in hand. You see, our science, we are looking at the economy. You see, we are crying, we are in recession, okay? From January, if you're not aware, the government is going to withdraw the COVID relief. So that means that the tax goes back to normal and people will start be taxed again. If you enter small businesses, again, you pay the normal tax. So as we cry for the economy, the politicians are crying for the BBI because their interest is power. Their interest is that seat. Because actually somebody right now is thinking that you could be surprised somebody is bargaining for the prime minister seat as we talk. Somebody could be bargaining for the deputy prime minister. Okay? So what Stella was talking about, multiple questions, these politicians, they are wise. They know if they bring multiple questions, you won't be able to tick the executive. Okay? So you select the one that favors you. That's why they want to bring it as just yes or no. Again, you need to know that it's not the business of the politicians to decide of the question that will be in the referendum. It's the work of the IEBC. So their issue is just to fund the issue that they are raising, and then it's work of the IEBC to frame the questions. Yeah. Again, I'm surprised because Stella is talking about the doctors dying, the COVID and the like. And in my mind, I remember that we had something like the universal health coverage. What happened to it? Imagine a doctor cannot afford the services that he's supposed to offer. Okay? It's like a house which is burning and your kid is there. Okay? And the person who's supposed to put out the fire is also burning inside the house. Okay? So I think for heaven's sake, we need to stop and listen. Why are we hearing too? This is our country. We're here for long. Okay? So let's stop and discuss what do we need to do to save the healthcare system.
Tuliambiwa they
Yeah.
wait. They want
The big four agenda.
Yeah.
Actually, the intention of the universal health coverage was that every Kenyan citizen was supposed to be treated for free, and not just to be treated, to get the quality health care. Not even we can't get that little quality, even that unquality, if there's something like that, we can't afford it. Okay? Yeah. So I think if you could ask me for either it's a referendum or not, I could say, let's not go for referendum. Let's just talk first. Let's put the first thing first.
Yeah. And like, I
So
mean,
in
just,
short, Boni anaambia baba tulia.
wait,
No,
because
not
you make us
really.
drop from the before we started.
I think I like what Bonnie you've said, and I'm looking at this BBI situation, and I feel we are in such a sorry state where, just giving a small analogy, like you have a house, it doesn't have a roof, and it's raining outside, and then you want to run inside and hide as well, and there's no roof for the house, so you end up getting rain out. Why am I saying this? It's because the issues we have in the BBI are very valid. And for sure, let me tell you, we still face a political risk in 2022. You've already started seeing people warming to that. But then the other question is, with the pertinent issues we have at hand right now, do we really need, can we just agree as a nation to first handle the issues that are pertinent right now? Yeah. So I think it's a deep question, BBI or not. But then I do believe, and I know for now you can almost take the stand, get to comprehend the stand that I'm taking, that we need BBI, but we still don't need BBI. So then we get to decide. Let Kenyans read this BBI and get to decide for themselves. Because the way the issue is being politicized, and it's either you're in this camp or this camp, and people get to support it without even getting to know what is inside because they subscribe to one individual or the other individual. So I will not say where I stand, because I want this conversation to spark Kenyans to read through the document and just get to understand what is in there for them.
Yeah.
Then they'll get to decide.
I think that makes sense. But like, we also learned that policy is a political process. So we know that political aspect is something that can definitely not be ignored. But I think one thing that we need to extract or remove from the conversation is if I say no to BBI or no to certain recommendations within BBI, then I am automatically a nanny person, you know? Like, I think we need to remove that mentality from it, because again, we need to go into looking at the document with as much of an objective mindset as possible. But just to go straight into some legislative reforms, and I don't want to touch on everything, but I feel like the legislative reforms are the quick wins within BBI. They're those things that we can actually start implementing or reviewing now, you know, like without even, I mean, with incurring minimal cost, because as you've said, we are paying guys to sit in Parliament and Senate. So we need to keep them busy until 2022. And BBI has proposed a lot of things. And I'll just go into, firstly, broadly. Do you think the legislative reforms that you have seen address youth issues? Do they address youth issues adequately? The legislative reforms, just talking about it broadly, like from what you guys have experienced, what you guys sit in, like when you're out with your friends and you discuss, by the way, these are our shidas, these are our problems. Do you feel like they speak to those problems? And you can actually say yes or no.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I would say a big no.
A big no. Okay, just wait. We'll go into the no, but you're saying no.
I
Okay.
say a big no.
Okay. Bonnie?
I would say no.
Okay, Judith?
I'll give a 40%. Yeah. A 40%.
Yeah. 40%.
Yeah. Yes, addressed 40%. But we are lacking 60%. 50 plus 1, of course, we are lacking a lot.
Yeah.
The answer was yes or no.
So,
Yeah.
So Judy has
she's
cheated.
in
Yeah.
I feel apparently
Yeah.
BBI happens to be the first document that is really talking to youth more than any other documents. Even when you look at Big Four agenda, you look at, you know, all those policy documents, you know, we've always had, you know, the word youth being put
Yeah.
together in special interest
Inside.
groups. But this document is really mentioning youth a couple of times, even if you are to isolate the number of times youth is mentioned.
We need
Yeah,
to
so
count
for sure
that.
we need to be fair enough. It
Yeah.
has slightly tried something for
Yeah.
a start, but for sure it has not adequately. No, it has not.
I think I'm
Stella.
sort of also at like a 50%, but
You're also cheating.
I'm also at a 50%. I'm in the middle. I can't say no entirely, but I also can't say yes. But then just like to go into the particular reforms, because I feel like the ones that touch heavily on youth issues, Stella, and I know you're very passionate about this, HELB. What do you think? Like the recommendations put forward for HELB, and maybe just to look at them in particular, they are talking about commencing repayments after, as you've rightfully said, 4 years. And yes, and the proposed amendments further exempt loanees without a source of income from paying interest on the loans advanced to them until such time that the loanee starts earning an income. Higher. So like now from those recommendations, what is, because I know you're very passionate about the HELP conversation even prior to BB.
Yes. So I'm a beneficiary of HELP. I got the loan and it really helped me. And I know a lot of my friends that we schooled with, it was really beneficial for them. Come to paying, I don't have a problem with paying HELP. Reason being, this was a fund that was created to benefit me, and it is a revolving fund. So when I pay, I'm empowering another young person to access education. I'm empowering my cousins, I'm empowering my neighbors, I'm empowering the youths to access education by repaying back their help. But then when you look at the current approach is, when I don't pay help for 1 month, I'm penalized 5,000 Kenyan shillings. Every month I don't pay help. And then on top of that, that penalty continues to earn interest. To a point, you find like someone who got, may say, a help of 180,000, paying to the tunes of 400,000. So even if we give a holiday, and then after that holiday of 4 years, we continue charging these people penalty of 5,000 because we have, I mean, I can get a job today, but after 1 year, I'm out of employment. That happened to us. We were in a training program for 1 year. We paid we paid help 100% for 12 months.
You're right.
But then after 12 months, we were out in the market again. We don't have jobs. I mean, of course, I know we are told to create jobs, not to seek employment, but job creation is not for everyone. So I'm asking myself, that youth who did not, I mean, among ourselves, that person who did not transition 100% like to a next job, and then they forfeited or they defaulted for 1 month, you charge them 5,000. How logical is that? And at the end of it all, even if we give youths for 4 years, for example, holiday, will it guarantee that they will get a source of income, sustainable source of income that will enable them to start paying help? I'm one person who is pro pay your help. I mean, and then I also like I would appreciate if help promoted the conversation of pay as minimum as 500, but pay consistently. No, but when you put a penalty of 5,000, I know people who've just said, I'm not going to pay help. They can continue penalizing me all they want. But it's just because the cost of that loan, the initial cost that you sign is 4%, but the cost that you end up paying might be 40% or 400%. So for me, it is the act does not really address one of the key pertinent issue in help, which is the penalties that people pay. And the reason as to why people don't pay is it's because they don't have opportunities.
Yeah. And again, like, I agree with you and I agree with what you guys have said, because again, the cause of a lot of the problems that young people have, that's unemployment. That's why we can't afford healthcare. That's why we can't pay for help. I mean, that's unemployment. So I agree with you, like the 4-year window, even if you give me 10 years and I'm still unemployed, you still remain unemployed. Yeah. I don't know what you guys think, Judy and Bonnie.
Yeah, for the help, I would think there's no need of government making interest from the young guys who are just graduating. So for the help, I would suggest that instead of you getting interest, even with that expiring of 4-year period, just get the exact amount that you lend this person, and that money should not accumulate any interest. Okay, we are not saying that it's being grants, because for grants you're given, you don't pay back. But in this case, we are saying yes, you assisted us in getting this money, but then please take your money. There's no need of government again getting interest. Yeah, from people.
Squeezing
Yeah,
us.
it's like it's investing in the youth. Yeah, yeah, which is not good. Yeah,
People
so
say it was a compensation. I mean, the government was awarding you for passing your high school exams.
and actually, guys, if you are not aware, the issue of the interest came in as a result of the SAPs, what we call structure adjustment programs. Okay, and that's why people now started paying back with interest. And for your information, because our economy is doing very bad, we're almost going back to the recession. And if you go back to borrowing from the IMF and the World Bank, they're the ones who put these conditions, the SAPs. They will put some more conditions. Actually, let me believe it's not true, but I've read from the newspaper that they are the ones who advise the government to withdraw the tax relief, the COVID. So in short, it's like you're going back to a new wave of the SAPs. Okay?
It is not even just the COVID one.
Yeah.
Even I think it was the finance bill and some of the tax amendment proposals that were put forward, I think in June, July. Yeah. It was still as a result of the same sort of advice.
Yeah, the strings attached.
The strings attached. Yeah. But Judith, now you can wrap up with now the second issue, MSMEs, the MSME Act.
Oh, great.
And yes, so basically they're recommending a tax holiday for up and coming businesses of up to 7 years.
Yes.
Go.
It's a good thing they've decided to do something about it. But then I want to ask myself, first of all, most of these youth don't even have the capital to start the business. Someone will argue that there's youth fund, but how many people can benefit from the youth fund? We don't even get to have the figures to know, the actual figures to know how many people who have benefited so far. And if I get to ask around, because you can even do a random asking, like, you get to talk to people, and you'll realize that sometimes these funds rotate around, specific individuals, yeah? And then again, that's an implementation issue. But then I get to ask myself, you can give me a tax holiday, but then the ease of doing business cannot be taxed alone. I need to be empowered, even to know how to run business. And sometimes I get also to ask myself again, why is it that we are so much concentrated on asking the youths to start businesses, while the old people, and remember, these are youth who have fresh skills from the university, they're innovative, they have energy, they can do a lot of, changes. And the old folks seated in the office, they're not doing that business, yet they're asking us to do the business. And then, everyone can't do business. So I think that is like a drop in the ocean. They've considered something, but I don't think it is enough. I do not think it's enough. They need to, and sorry to take you back, when we were talking about methodology in our first session, and about just basically how they collected the information on how the problems we are facing as youth, I did not see a youth in that steering committee. So I also want to ask myself, did they actually collect views from the youth really? And if they collected views from the which youth? Who are these
and
youth?
who are these who are being called the youth
Yes,
leaders?
yes.
Yeah.
Are they the youth who have already made it, and then the majority of us who are still struggling with life out there, our views are not yet heard out?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a drop on the ocean, and I want to tell them they can actually do better.
But Madhya, before you move
Yeah.
there, we appreciate that the government cannot create employment for the youths, okay? But at least you need to create an enabling environment for the private investors to invest, and in the process, they'll be able to absorb the youths. So, like what's happening in our country, you've had some businesses are closing down, and you see that's terrible. Because that means instead of us creating more employment, we are creating more unemployment. So I would just suggest that let the government create an enabling environment, and then it will be able to attract more investors. Again, the issue of the corruption is making a lot of investors run away, because you come here, you want to start something, maybe somebody wants some kickbacks, and they fly. Yeah, they fly because they can't pay. We have some people who have morals. So that's the issue. Let the government create an enabling environment,
For those businesses to
and
thrive.
then the government also can keep on employing the youth. Because I'm surprised that they tell the youth, go out and create employment.
No.
We have some people who have retired, but they don't want to leave office.
And a 90-year person gets a job, and I'm here struggling.
Yeah,
there's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
The government needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Even the way of doing business, because when you're employed, you get to understand how things run, even creating systems. So you're right, someone needs to be employed, and then they can get to sure.
And for your information, several youths have registered companies, thousands.
They die in 2 days.
And they died before seeing their first birthday. You see?
Stella and I
We are company owners.
Yeah. People have created a company and closed down before the first birthday. So the issue of youth being
I don't know about that.
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Let me just take you to what we might be voting for, because like now I think we have collected enough signatures according to the news, which have been forwarded to IEBC. So this referendum thing is looking like an almost reality. So I think maybe a major or a point of contention is the amendments to the executive and the legislature. And maybe just to shed light on what exactly that is. With regard to the executive, we are looking at getting a prime minister on board. We are looking at also having 2 deputy prime ministers. We are trying to eradicate the winner-takes-all formula. Yes, so I don't know what you guys think about that. And of course, like we have the cabinet ministers appointed from the National Assembly. And on the other side of the legislative, and I think like maybe let's just talk on this issue like maybe for 1 minute or 2. On the side of the legislative, we have the government joining the legislative, which was previously there prior to 2010, but was eradicated with the 2010 constitution. So we have the PM, DPMs, cabinet ministers coming from the legislative. And I mean, we have the Attorney General as well as the leader of the opposition, the official opposition. So I think maybe just in a few words, what do you think about that? And maybe just speak to, do you think the referendum should be yes, no? Or should we get an opportunity to say yes to some issues and no to some issues as well?
The motive and the key foundation for BBI was inclusion, promoting inclusion, such that we have more people represented. I mean, we have more people, and when we talk about more people in this country, is more tribes represented in government. And so one of the proposition is creating a PM position. But when we go down to look at who is going to be a PM, who is going to be a prime minister, first, this will be a member of National Assembly, an elected member of National Assembly. Number two, they will be from the ruling party. The party that gave us the president is the same party that is going to give us the prime minister. And in most cases, I mean, in a common case in Kenya, you'll find it is the majority tribes that will give us the prime minister, and then it is the majority tribe that will probably give us the president. So have we brought the whole spirit of inclusion? I mean, if we bring 3 or 5, I mean, they might represent 50% of the population, but have we said the other 40, is it 41 who represent 50, the other 50%, for example, those are not the right statistics. It's just random numbers. Have we said that we are inclusive enough? Then going even down to the role of the PM. Initially, the current role, the proposed role of the PM and the previous leader of majority, the Ndwale is the one we popularly know, are the same, one and the same thing. So we had a leader of majority who implemented this role without specifically having a specific office, without having deputy, I mean, without having proper structures and all that. All now we are saying is we want to create a role that comes with a wage, that increases our wage bill, which is a big issue in this country. And it's a role that had been done by previous, I mean, leaders of majority without so much cost implication. So the conversation is, is the spirit of creating the PM position promoting inclusiveness? And do we really need it? Can we do without it? Yes.
I agree with you, because we are 44 tribes. So even if we were to give equally, moja, it would never work in terms of
exactly.
And we'd end up
So I assume
marginalizing,
they ought to have created 41
Yes,
PM office so that
yeah.
everybody can be included, because you can't assume because your tribe has 1,000 people and another one has a million, the one with 1,000 is not equal to you. So we want to bring equality. Yeah. So that person feel also to be represented.
Okay.
Governors are our PMs. Let's stick with
Let's
governors.
stick with that.
Yeah. So you're right. I'm very much with Stella, and this is the point that I look at BBI and I say no. Because I feel at that particular point of creating the office of PM is, is self-defeating. And still that does not represent the whole idea they're trying to solve, that the winner does not take it all. Because still then, like Stella puts it, still is the winning party in this sense, because the president is coming from there, the party that majority have supported. Still the PM is coming from there. Is it is it what they're trying to solve? No. So,
and who, like this aspect of the winner takes all, is it just the winner takes all when majority tribes are affected? When and I won't speak to that, but is it just when majority tribes are affected? So like we have been excluding guys in Garissa, Samburu, Turkana for the longest time, and we've not had issues with that. So now, like, is it just an issue that comes up when we're talking about majority tribes? And maybe just to speak to my personal concerns, I feel like the oversight function of the legislature, again, having our cabinet ministers being part of the legislature, part of the executive, I mean, we eradicated that initially so that they can serve an effective oversight function. So I don't know how smoothly that will blow over. But I think let's just close the conversation there. Again, we're still going to have conversations on extracts of the BBI on various issues, because the BBI is a very large document with so many issues, including revenue sharing, public procurement, public finance, which are all very juicy issues. So I think we'll have conversations about that. I think let's have our parting shots for this episode, and
Actually, before you go there, Samantha, you see with the executive, they are saying that there's no increase in wages. because the PM will be an MP, the ministers will be the MPs. But the issue is not the wages. The issue is the allowances. The issue is the team of people that they'll come along with. They'll be paying salaries.
Yeah.
They'll be given allowances.
Baggage.
Yeah. So we should not just look at the wages. We should look at the allowances. And then the question is, when you talk about the winner taking it all, unless now we are trying to define democracy differently. Because what is democracy? Democracy is the rule of majority over minority, okay? Where the majority have their way and the minority have their say. So there's no time that
Yeah.
you will all agree, that you will be on the same side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if we pass this BBI, of which I have no problem with it passing, still you'll have complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no time the whole of this country will vote in the same direction. It will never be.
I mean, Biden just won with a win of 51, so 51%, and they called it a landslide.
Yeah.
So anyway, besides the point, parting shot now that you've gone there, just you can close.
Parting shot, I would just like to tell the Kenyans and mostly youth, whom I'm really passionate about. I know I'm passionate because I know I've interacted with people. I know what they are passing through. I know the circumstances there are really bad. People have lost jobs. Hotels have been closed. Okay? Restaurants have been closed. Bars have been closed. I mean, industries are closing down. So, if we look good to what we call ground, things are bad. And we need to pause. I heard that the church called for dialogue, the Muslims and the like. So I think we need to listen to them. Let pause. If you want to bring this country, if you want to move this country as a team, let pause. Let talk. And once you agree, then let's move together. Because there's no need of bringing people together and then there's someone left crying. That would not be fair. So that's what I would say. Let's pause. Let's reflect as a country. And then as we move forward with the issue of the BBI. Yeah. Otherwise, thank you for listening to us. We're also learning from you. So if you feel that there's somewhere we need to improve, there's some input that you can give us, feel free. Thank you.
My part in short, lift the curfew. DJ is what atomics BBI. But anyway, young people, read BBI. Let's internalize BBI and let's have valid conversations around BBI. Saying that I'm not interested is not the solution. That's my part in short.
Parting shot.
Yeah, young people, this is our document. Read it, internalize it, question it, and just understand that this is a document that is going to not only affect you, but your generation. So let's make wise decisions about this. And thank you for listening to us. Like all the team have said, keep following us in our pages and we shall continue engaging you further on other public policy issues beyond BBI.
Yeah, and maybe just to close off, we've seen the youth start movements. If you look at the case of like Nigeria and SARS, we have seen the youth actually come out and make a difference and determine the direction of an entire nation. So until we get tired of issues being imposed on us, until we start questioning policy, until we start interrogating documents, because I mean, we are a very privileged generation because we have access to so much information with the internet. I mean, like we are some of the most educated people. So I think we really need to tap into that and interrogate BBI. Don't let it be a situation of Stella said, so we are all voting no, or so-and-so said, so we're all voting yes. Or if I vote yes, I'll be seen to have aligned myself with so-and-so. As Stella said, we are majority of this population. These policies are going to live with us for, I mean, the life expectancy right now is 70. Is it 70? It's 60 something. So yes, we have another maybe 30, 40 years to live with these policies. So we need to actually interject at this point. Yeah, so that said, I think, again, as my colleagues have said, subscribe at 254YPC on Twitter, 254 Youth Policy Cafe on LinkedIn, and 254 Youth Policy Cafe on YouTube. So yes, and
Facebook.
Oh, and Facebook 254 Youth Policy Cafe as well. So yes, please subscribe and keep listening and give us your feedback. Thank you.